What's up, Dre?
What up, man? I need to turn my joint around, don't I?
Yeah, the Decaf Hour. We in the building.
This week, I mean, we really haven't. I guess we really never talk about ahead of time, like what we're going. We don't like put titles and all that together. They kind of like organically come. So I know this week, some exciting news with you. Driving to pick up your coffee roaster, roasting some coffee for the first time. I could see that look in your eyes whenever you were roasting that, like you were locked in. It's that moment where I think I thought about that when I first started roasting. I was like, man, I'm either going to, because you see the video, you see other people doing it, and it's just like anything else. You see other people doing it, and you're like, oh, I can do that. And then you try it, and some things you're kind of like, nah, that's not really my lane. But this, I got in there, and the nerd in me just started to take over. And so even watching you, like my daughter came in and she's like, you watching another coffee video? Like, it's like I'll just watch people just roast coffee, and pick up certain tips and tricks and and then just enjoy watching other people roast the coffee. So when I saw you and I saw that look in your eyes and I saw you pick up the notebook and you were showing like the fact that it was science, like you were locked into the science of it.
Yeah,
that was beautiful, man. Like I almost shed a thug tear, man. I'm serious, like it was
I
serious,
know, man. I'm excited.
So I got some decaf on the way. Actually, I ordered 2 pounds from Sweet Maria's, and I was thinking maybe on these joints, maybe we even have some time to where we, I know we can't do like caffeine this late at night, but we're not trying to. We could, but we're not trying to. Maybe we can do a decaf and just focus on the method. You know what I mean? This late at night once we, because I know you get decaf, you get a bag as well, right? To kind of switch it up during the day.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, man. We're too old to be drinking caffeine this late at night, man.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. But yeah, man. Let's do the decaf.
Okay.
Do different brew methods. You know what I'm saying? And kind of talk through some of that stuff. I loved seeing you on live today with the actual setup and walking people through it. Like that's something that I think we both. I made an offer on that fresh roast last night.
Oh yeah.
And they accepted my offer. So when I get off of here, I gotta buy it. I'm gonna buy it and the extension for the 540 joint, the SR 540. So we're gonna be rocking out, man.
Nice.
Same
man. I'm excited about that. That's what I was gonna ask. My next question, I was gonna say, what have you been doing coffee the last, couple days? We've been working on the boring part of this, which is, documents and building websites and all that kind of stuff. And then also, I say boring. Some of that stuff is not boring, it's just necessary. Some of it's fun, but also music. We've been working on finishing that up. But coffee-wise, I guess you've been eyeing those other roasters and put an offer on it. Do you have any idea when you're going to get it? Like what they're going to...
Next Tuesday, I think, is they give you a window. So maybe maybe they send it sooner. It's free shipping though. So whenever it's free shipping, they probably gonna do the most inexpensive type of shipping
by horse.
Yeah, by horse, which is gonna take longer. But I've waited this long, man, so I'm willing to wait. But I'm super excited about that, just to be able to like watching you sent me over the top. I already, when you told me you were getting it, and then as it got closer, when it became more of a reality, last night I was like, man, just forget it, bro. Like, just go. Like, what are you waiting on? Like, what? Like, what are you waiting on? Especially now that you have one, it would make no sense for me not to have one if we're going to be comparing notes and learning together, me having a completely different machine makes no sense. And so,
Yeah.
but then when I found that extension, because my main drawback was the batch size, because
Right.
I know eventually we want to get out of the sample size and actually maybe do like my guy, the coffee enthusiast does, he does half pound bags, 8 ounce bags. And so
Yeah.
maybe we get up to 8 ounces a bag. That's a pretty decent size for a coffee drinker. They might cop a couple bags or two or three. Um,
Right.
but you got to have a good batch size in your roaster. And so that was my only drawback. The top version of it, you could do, I think, 8 ounces. But, if I'm going to get I was thinking if I'm going to get the top level of that, then my mind went to, man, you might as well get whatever the next step up is from that. And it just went on and on and on. And so I'm like, bro, Steven is a freaking legend, bro. He's killing it right now. That's the coffee enthusiast.
Yeah.
He's killing it. I tried his coffee. Dope, really, really dope roaster, man. I think he's in North Carolina. Yeah, he started with the B-More. He was roasting with the B-More for a while, and now he's roasting with, which is something that I want to get, the Aleo Bullet.
Yeah, the bullet.
Yeah, something I've been looking into, and that was my thought. I was like, man, I should just wait on to get the bullet. I got the popcorn roaster, but then I saw the extension, and then I started seeing videos of people. Once I put in that the 540 had an extension, and then I started going down the rabbit hole and seeing people like hooking their roaster up to laptop, just like you would a normal like drum roaster or whatever.
Right.
And then using this, they said fresh roast software. And I'm like, so there's software to this? And then they had the thermometer hanging in the joint. And then I started seeing with the extension how ill it looked, man. Just like the glass and how it just, the structure of it and the design of it was super appealing. Without the extension, it's kind of boxy, and then they've kind of made the newer models a little bit lengthier for the batch size, but that extension looks dope, dog. Like it's, and it's all glass. You can see it. Like when I was watching you today, I was like, man, like I can actually see the change in the roast. When I'm in a popcorn popper, I have no idea what's going on other than the little bit I can see on top. I don't know what's going on in the middle and on bottom. So, yeah, bro. So I just said, man, forget it. I'm just gonna go do it. And it's time to get to work, man. It's just time to get to work.
That was the big thing for me was it was my first time roasting, earlier today, but I had, I've been watching tons of videos and reading tons of stuff. And I was just thinking about how tough that was going to be in a whirly pop, even where you can see them, but they're so far down in there, and it's not really the air. It's more of the, the actual burner at that point.
Right.
That's warming them up. And so today being able to put the green ones in there and just see them, change color slowly over time like that, and watch for lighter ones and darker ones, was so cool, man, to be able to see that. And even still, the first roast that I did, I left the chaff collector top thing off for the first couple of minutes so I could kind of shake it up a little bit, or stick a wooden spoon to just make sure they wouldn't go crazy. And man, I didn't even really need to do that. And so I did the second roast without doing that at all, really. And then if you get that extension, you don't need to do it, because the way it's made, there's no like corners for them to go into, and it's taller, and a lot of airflow. So I think next on my list is that extension, and then I think I'm good for a while, just to camp out there and get really acquainted with the different speeds and times and cool down with this machine. And being able to do a half pound with this is plenty for now,
Yep. No, absolutely, man. It's and I was looking at as I was looking at the extension, there was someone, they have these forums of home roasters, and one individual mentioned that he had been roasting with the SR, I want to say the one you have, for 6 years. and
Wow.
saying it was a great machine, but he was starting not to have consistency in his roast and the coloring, and just some of the beans were, you know, more developed than others. And he bought that extension, and he was like, that took care of all of his problems. And he was like, I'm saving my money to get this machine, whatever the actual large roaster was, but
Hmm.
he's content with the fresh roaster with the extension for the time being. And like I said, he's had it for over 6 years. So that's promising for me. Because like I think I mentioned to you the other day, once I get a machine, like I usually just ride it out until, I either have to get another machine, or the opportunity presents itself, or it's to a point where the demand, it's too high and I have to, whatever the case may be. It might be my car, like, uh,
Hmm.
I'm not the type of dude to just go and, I never really understood that, just go and just trade in cars and finance cars over and over and over. It's kind of like, you know, $100,000 or 100,000 miles just means I have, especially on like I buy cars that actually last for a while.
Yeah.
You change the oil and keep the maintenance on it. So it's like 100,000 miles means I probably have another 150,000 miles to go. That's how I'm thinking in my mind.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So when it comes to the roaster, I see myself having it for a little while, like you said, learning
Hmm.
on it, and perfecting it. So yeah,
Yeah.
man,
And
I'm excited, bro.
the craziest thing about this roaster to me was these the Japanese cars.
Yes, Civic,
Yeah. Yep.
Altima.
Yep.
Those are my cars, bro. Those are my cars. I ran my little Civic when I was 18. I think I got rid of that thing when I was like maybe 22 or something like that, and I think it had 230,000 miles when I got rid of that joint.
Corolla too.
Yeah, Corolla. Yeah, man. Built like champs.
But this person I bought that roaster from, man, they were like, if you end up upgrading from it quick, like if you like it and grasp it, get it real quick, get roasting, you're like, man, this is great. I'm gonna buy a bullet or a Be More or whatever. They were like, let us know because we want to buy this one back from you because this one's like, it's good, it's nice, it lasts a long time. There's always, you can buy replacement parts even if they put the thing itself, the model out of production. They
Yeah.
sell parts for it down the road. They continue to do that. And they were like, honestly, this machine's kind of sentimental because it was the first one we got after our
Wow.
popcorn popper. So I was
Wow.
like, that's crazy. I mean, I could use this thing for a couple years and be like, you know what, I'm upgrading. And they would be like, yeah, we want to buy it back. It still works. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy. So that made me excited too, man, to just put some miles on this thing and learn. Yeah, for sure.
So what did they upgrade to? What roaster did they upgrade to? Do you
I
know?
honestly, right now, can't remember if it was a V more or a Bullet, but it was one of those two because that's where
Okay.
I had heard people mention it in videos that I'd watched, but it didn't really stick until they said it, and I was like, oh yeah, and then I started noticing it everywhere. So I'd have to look back at the conversation, but they got
Yeah.
one of those two. I don't know, but they don't do any of it commercially at all. Like this is just for personal use. This couple in San Antonio, they just were tired of spending 15 to 20 bucks a bag on
Yeah.
coffee and wanted to, connect to the farm trade, kind of situation and just roast their own, so it was like cost effective, creative habits and rhythms, and then also the ethical side of it. So I thought that was cool. And I think we as Black Gold Creative have similar values in that way, but are actually trying to put some of this in people's hands. So,
Right. Yeah. The home roasting uh situation, man, is, it's a culture, bro. Like I'm starting to realize, like, it's like you said, they put you on to this Facebook group of
yep.
home, and I remember searching that one day, and a lot of groups came up, uh, that you could be a part of, and there's a lot of people that are excited about coffee and not just excited about going out to a coffee shop and buying the coffee from there, but actually, roasting and brewing their own coffee at home, and at the same time still purchasing coffee from other roasters, which is, you and I talk about this all the time, just the community aspect in coffee is crazy. I was explaining that to Corey Paul, which funny story. I called him yesterday and his wife answered the phone. And I hadn't talked to her at either one of them. I haven't talked to Corey in a long time, but really I haven't seen or talked to her because they moved to Florida. It's been a long time. Maybe just in the background, I'm on the phone with Corey, like, oh, tell your wife to say hi, whatever. And so I looked at the phone. I was like, did I call the wrong number? And she was like, no, Dre, this is me. She said, yo, thank you for putting us on to the AeroPress. She says it changed our coffee game tremendously. She said, now I can't go over to someone's house or with somewhere and they have this terrible coffee. She said, I can't do it. I just can't do it anymore. She's like, I come in like a snob, I feel like, because I don't want to drink certain coffees because I'm like, I can make my own cup at home with the and so I talked to Corey and he had the same rhetoric or whatever, but he was like, man, I just drink so much coffee, like it just saved him because he was mind blown when I just opened the door for him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so but I was having that conversation with I forgot what I was talking about now, but it was a conversation I was having with Corey about coffee. What were we talking about?
I think you were just talking about the AeroPress, man. I think that's
no. Before that, no, I wasn't even going to that. Dang it, I forgot what I was about to say. Vic, what up, man? Oh yes, the community.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He was asking me. Yeah. Corey was asking me because it was so beautiful talking to him because I started to remember.
Oh wait, I gotta do one thing. We got Austin, Texas in the building now.
Yeah, Vic. Austin, Texas in the building. No, but Corey was like, it was beautiful because I started thinking about when I first got in, when I first fell down the rabbit hole, and it's just so many things that you don't know. And he was like super shocked at the community aspect of it because, growing up, you hear about these mainstream brands that aren't specialty coffee. You just hear about Folgers, Maxwell House, and then you may go to Walmart now and see multiple brands, right? You hear about Starbucks. And so you don't really know about this whole community that's flourishing, right? Of specialty coffee roasters. But then beyond that, the fact that these people know each other, support each other. Of course, there's competition and things happen, but for the most part, like my wife was asking that too. It's like, there's not necessarily a loyalty. It's just, I'm loyal to the coffee. If you make good coffee, bro, I'm there. Like I'll at least try it once. And so, there's a rotation. I mean, it's the reason why I trade coffee to the subscription service.
Right.
It's the reason why they have been successful. It's because people aren't, when it comes to specialty coffee, people aren't just sticking with this one thing. You know what I mean? It's like Mark. I don't know if Mark is still on here, but one of the things that I appreciated, Mark showed his brewing setup, which I don't know if you've ever seen Mark's brewing setup, but it's ridiculous.
I haven't.
Like all the stuff that he has is crazy. Like I had to hop off because I was about to run to Amazon. It's pretty nuts. But then he started showing his coffee selection, like just the coffee that he had on hand at this particular time. And you talk about somebody that actually supports roasters. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he has, you can tell he switches up his rotation, I believe, but you know, he wants us to send him some coffee. I have his address too, and I'll you know, send that to you to where you can send some of yours. I'll send him
Yeah.
some of mine. But there's just this rotation of just these different roasters that he was showing. And it's like there is no brand loyalty, bro. Like it's about the coffee. It's not about people will support us because, you know, especially people that love and know us. But at the end of the day, man, if the coffee is bad, I don't see them coming back. You know what I'm saying?
Nor should they.
nor should they. You know what I'm saying? Like nor should they.
Right,
So
right.
it the coffee has to be good. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
that's what it's about, man. You know. So it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, Mark.
Can
You
we?
gotta show me the hookup.
I'll ask a question to the few people that are in here to share their favorite brewing method, just because I'm curious, and we'll follow up on that in a second. But to shift into something a little more serious, I guess you can take it either way. It's related to coffee, or at least related to this conversation. But one of the things that's always striking to me about finding community in like coffee culture, or, you know, some people join like an artistic community or something like that, and they just can't believe the camaraderie and the community and the collaboration. And one of the things that's always striking to me is when it's people who are also a Christian, or a person who was a part of the church or grew up religious, and then they join one of those other communities. They're always struck by how good it is, right? And and then I think about how you talked about it's not competition, it's more of like camaraderie. And the competition is, I want to be better than you. You know, I want to roast better coffee, but it's like, it's all in good fun. It's all about supporting each other. It's about the coffee. So if you look at the state of politics right now, it's garbage, dude. And if you look at the church, the way the church does community versus like the home roasting community or whatever, it's wildly different, bro. So much so that I hesitate to even bring it up because I feel like it's not even in the same ballpark. You know what I mean?
No, it's not, bro.
So
it's not, man. I tell you, when I was doing that voiceover for the, you know, the website that we or you're working on the updates to the website and doing the voiceover. Let me pause real quick. Cameron Marshall, what up, bro? Cameron is somebody that used to work for Topeka, then he moved and worked for Triangle Coffee, one of the best baristas that I've ever met, one of the nicest guys you ever meet. He just moved to Houston, actually, from Tulsa. So dope dude, man. Dope photographer too. But he put me on to a lot with the coffee. So shout out to Cameron. But yeah, when I was doing the voiceover, I started feeling weird because I was like, man, like I could hear these Christians in my head, like, why aren't you talking about God like that? Why aren't you talking about the church like that? Like, what is? Because I was talking about community and how coffee brings us together, and which are all facts for me. Like, I've had some dope experiences, community experiences with coffee. And mind you, some of those experiences that I've had have been, you know, where God or Christianity or just spiritual things come up during those conversations. But sometimes they don't.
Right.
Sometimes we're talking about other stuff. But in my mind, it's still spiritual, right? I think we get caught up in the secular versus the sacred thing, when it to me doesn't have to be to you. When Billy and I are doing this right now, in my mind and in my heart, in my very being, I believe that this is a spiritual thing that we are doing, right? I don't know how it all works, and I'm not trying to preach a sermon about how it all works, but I believe that this is a spiritual thing that we're doing. In the same way, when I see the Ethiopian people, Josh, what up, man? Joshua Malek is in the building. Kinetic, what up? In the building, all the way from across the pond. When I see Ethiopian people roasting coffee, and I see them, we mentioned this on the last episode, when I see them praying while they're roasting the coffee and while they're drinking the coffee, and even beyond that, just the whole ritual, as you know, that part of it, it's a spiritual thing, bro. Like we just got it backwards sometimes. You know what I mean? And the fact that there is the competition that you're talking about and this division, that's the part that isn't spiritual at all. Like that's man-made stuff.
Right.
That the division. And so to have a spiritual thing, but then cover it in this division, it takes away from the spiritual thing. Like it's not spiritual anymore. And I don't know about you, man, but like this season has been like super hard for me when it comes to church. You know, of course, because of COVID, of course, because of the restrictions that were put on and actually going into a physical building, but just the rhetoric that's come out of some of the people that I know personally that have come out of their mouths. And this isn't to bring politics in it at all. Beyond that, like forget the politics, forget all of that stuff. Like what are we doing like right now? Like how can we uphold this but then be like, you know what I'm saying? And you and I aren't perfect. Like I'm not perfect. I you know, say this and do that. Like Paul says, I want to do this, but do like we all do that. But as a whole, I told my pastor this about, you know, just some issues going on within the church. It's just like it's not like it's hard to explain. It's not like I'm looking at this one particular person or two people or three or four. It's not even about the people. It's when there's this overarching, like this just thing that's unseen, that's hovering over everything, that's covering everything, it's just covered in division. It's like, how can I, you feel what I'm saying? Like
totally, man.
Like,
I told
what are
Tasha
we doing?
today, I told my wife Tasha today that I was so like, it's so weird. Like we haven't been, I guess technically we haven't been a part of a church in a month, which is weird to say, and it probably doesn't make sense to people if they know me and are hearing that for the first time or whatever. But when the job stuff in pastoral ministry fell through here in Texas and we left our church in Maryland, we obviously have friends and stayed connected with both churches actually because of friends and people in both places. But as far as even watching something online on Sunday morning or being a part of some kind of small group or some kind of group that meets virtually throughout the week, we have not done that in a month in our family, including the streaming on Sunday morning, which some people would be like, what in the world? But when I read the scriptures and see what Christians are supposed to be and supposed to do, and I see how that relates to the world around them, I see something that we are completely missing, especially in a season like this with COVID. Now, the crazier thing is, just like Mark was saying, you know, earlier about the coffee community, you know, the Christians that are in the coffee community, the thing is, it's like, it's right there. We're on the cusp of it with so many things, like with the coffee community, with the music community. We're on the cusp of being able to have good conversations. And I think about how Christians in the first century weren't doing their own little thing over here on the side. They were worshiping and demonstrating the good news of the gospel and sharing it while participating in the things in the world that they had to do, like regular life stuff. And so that's the one downfall that Christians always do, is create a subculture within a culture, which then ultimately isolates and divides. And with politics, you have that happening even worse for obvious reasons, which we don't need to get into. But I told Tasha today it was so sad that I got on Twitter and felt like I just didn't know anybody almost. Like people that I respect or have been in the same room with, friends. I just took one scroll and was like, I don't know these people that like are calling each other out over a theological doctrinal difference, like saying they can't be a Christian if this, because during COVID their church chose to do this. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Or, you know, I can't believe you literally tweets back to back on my timeline. Oh man, Mike Pence this. Oh, Kamala Harris this. Kamala Harris this. Like, I'm just like, guys, you you both are watching the same thing and just clearly just choosing to view it your way. And man, Jesus, I feel like wasn't like that. And there is no way in history I can just walk into a coffee community, whether people know me or not, I'm a Christian or not. I cannot just walk in there and start labeling and judging people. Good roaster, bad roaster, good person, bad person, this and this and this, especially when they just accept you. And if part of my mission just as a person who loves and follows Jesus in this world, regardless of my church affiliation, as a person like that, I step into the coffee community hoping to learn and enjoy and ultimately be a part of continued growth and change in that community. And because of my faith, wanting to illuminate the spiritual and creative side to it to the people who don't already see that. One of my favorite sermons in the scriptures comes from Paul in Acts chapter 17, which this is the most like preachy, overly spiritual we've probably gotten on our live or podcast, just because we kind of sometimes don't go quite this far. But Paul walks into a room of people who are very smart and doing their own thing that is not quite godly, but it's spiritual to them and has their own truth there and there coexisting, or whatever you want to call it. And Paul walks in and says, look, let me hear what you have to say, and let me look at what you've got here and say, there's a better, beautiful way that you guys are already kind of, like you guys already kind of see it, but let me just tell you what it is. Let me just show you. It's like right here, you know? And my goal is never to like join a home roasting group and then like, boom, share a Bible verse in there or whatever. Like that is far from the way to handle that. My goal is to go in there, is to just go in there and be a loving human being, bro. And we need that so much.
Yo, they're pouring you they're pulling the shot, and you're like, yo, you think you're a good person?
I used to have a friend that they would just go up to somebody and go, hey, what are you going to do about your sin problem?
Wow.
I'm like, bro, like, I hear you. But what I see Jesus doing a lot was compassion. It was a lot of listening and compassion. And you know, he certainly didn't have to do it that way, but he did. And I think, like you were saying earlier, we miss so much beauty and so many opportunities because we're looking to make everything like transactional or divisive or competitive, and really everything is not like that, and not be like that.
No, bro. I remember us having this conversation and it's one of the previous episodes you guys can check out. I'm losing which episode it was off the top of my head. But we talked about, it was one of the earlier ones, I believe. We talked about, you know, the holidays and particularly Halloween. And
I remember that.
And at one time, you know, I really over spiritualized a lot of the holidays, and this was prior to me having kids. And then, you know, now with kids, it's kind of like, man, what are you going to do now? Because, you know, they're you know, for one, their friends are doing certain things, and then also you have other relatives and other, you know, people in their lives that participate in certain things. So it's like, what? And I know there's this, you know, this conversation about, you know, taking a stand, and this is how we're raising our kids, and we da 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 da. And I remember telling you how just extreme, but now it's like, you know, how can, similar to the Orman thing, it's not like, if this isn't a Christian version of this,
right? What
but it's
even would Christian
finding.
Halloween be, Dre? What would people do if they were gonna try to make it? Oh, what am I talking about? It was a thing, fall festivals and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
churches
I'm
do it.
saying.
Yeah,
Yes, that's what
but
I'm saying. It's like it's
and the
like we
crazy
can
thing
find.
is, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the crazy thing for us is the only competition we're having right now in our family or in our neighborhood is we're trying to be the house with the most like Halloween decorations, and our next
Right,
door neighbors are outdoing us right now, and we're kind of salty about that, even though
right,
we're the Christians. Like, oh, what do you mean? You're supposed to be, you know, shouldn't you guys be spending your money doing this or your time doing this? It's like,
right,
no, I'm trying to do everything I can because I don't have a job right now. I'm trying to like
right.
do everything I can to not buy that $300 Home Depot skeleton 12 foot tall and
Right.
put that joint outside.
Yo, I don't know what it is, man. It's just,
Antoine, what up?
of course
Nigel, what up?
you're getting you're getting older. We're getting older, and we're starting to realize certain things with experience. But bro, like, man, I'm with you. Like, I started thinking that was crazy. I was just at my mother-in-law's house just now, and there was a point, and you and I have discussed this. There was a point in time where I had like a just this thing inside where I was so conflicted about Halloween, and my mother-in-law is very festive, and she puts out certain things, and I
Yeah,
was making it a big deal about, certain things that for the kids, right?
yeah.
And I'm over there before we got on live, and my son is over there, and he's helped her put all these decorations up, right?
Hmm.
And he's outside with certain decorations, and he's cracking up laughing at some of this stuff.
I want
And
one of
I
those
just
big
thought,
skeletons, bro.
and she was looking for her skeleton, right? She was looking for her skeleton. And I just thought back to this time and all the time that I wasted, bro. Like, all of the dope rooms that I could have had, but I wasted time on this conversation that really, in all actuality, in my opinion, doesn't mean anything, bro. Like, it's like, you know, it's a fun thing, man. Like, it really is. And I don't want to get into this argument with people about it, but it's like, bro, like, it's a fun thing, dog. Like, I want to see. I
And
want
it's
the
and it's
joint.
crazy though. But like I said earlier about scrolling through like Instagram and just seeing like the doctrinal difference, church stuff, like people freaking out. But like all the conspiracy stuff just trips me out too, bro. Like I thought fundamental Christianity, I thought that was kind of like, I thought we were donezo worrying about every little thing like that, you know, like it used to
Yeah,
be tattoos, it used to be all this. I thought we kind of recognized like there's holy and there's like sin and there's like grace and like, you know, let the babies get some candy, bro. Yes, yes.
yeah,
Oh,
bro.
Antoine was tripping too. Yeah, and Dre's voice. Sheesh. Man, but like, yeah, it's like, nah, everything, like God made this whole earth. Like if you're a Christian, you believe that, like, then he made it and he's creative and he makes things beautiful and spiritual and all that. But like, dude, we gotta chill with the everything's demonic. Like, I mean,
Right,
just like he ain't that powerful, bro. Satan ain't that powerful. We just
right,
gotta chill with some of it. Some of it is human creativity that is God given, that selfish gain has turned it into like sinful pursuits. But we gotta like do a better job at redeeming that, bro. Like I'm gonna
right.
watch Coco with my kids with Kwanzaa.
Yo.
Oh man, shoot.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Where's
yeah,
my
man.
oil? No, for real, man. It's so freeing, man. And it's like, and of course there would be people that would be on this live. There may be people watching this joint right now, and I'm sure some that are gonna watch the playback and be like, yo, I get some of the weirdest messages
Oh, I know,
sometimes
I know. Yeah.
about, yo, bro, like, I'm just concerned. Are you still a Christian? Like, are you still a Christian?
Yeah, man.
And I had to block somebody last week
about that because of the song that I did, the first single that it's not my single, it's actually Sivion's single, but I was featured on it with, it was my first offering with Elect Recordings, and the name of the song is Better. And on the cover it has, the fist that's been used, in many depictions of, social justice, but it's a red fist, right?
Yeah.
And the song is called Better.
Sorry, Dre thinks hell is paradise.
What?
Love it.
Dre thinks hell is paradise. Shut up, dude. He was hilarious. But yo, like the song is called Better, and my whole verse, like my last line is like talking about how I'm going to follow the King. Like I want to follow the King and follow Jesus, right? And the whole song is about imagining the world in a better place, and like, unity and just good
They probably
stuff,
thought you
right?
meant King James or Donald Trump.
He didn't listen. He didn't listen. So my response was like, bro, it would really help if you listen to the actual song and not judge the song based on, like, it's just like what you said earlier. Your people are hearing the same thing, but their your perception, bro, just how you're viewing the world, period. How you're looking at the world, the lens that you're using is going to determine how you perceive something.